What do you think about this?
There's this guy, and he really likes this girl, so he starts doing a bunch of good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the good stuff is, like, he mows her lawn, he waters her flowers, he shovels her driveway.
Well, that's all good things.
Yeah. But then he goes to her door, and he knocks on her door, and he's like, "Let me in your house."
That's super weird.
Yeah, and it gets weirder, because she's like, who are you? And he's like, "What do you mean? I just did all this good stuff. Like, don't you see your lawn is mowed? I did that."
Yeah,
Let
but
me-
you don't get into someone's house by doing good things.
Yeah, and that's why her response is, "I do not know you."
And that's what our relationship is like with God, when we think we can just do good things and then get into heaven when we die. God is way bigger than this analogy.
And if God is way bigger, how much more important is it to develop a relationship with him if it's important to just develop it with a crush?
Yeah, how can we expect to get into God's house if we haven't developed a relationship with him?
Into the kingdom of heaven. Why don't we have a relationship with God?
Because when God created the world, he created humans, he created boundaries, and he created consequences for if humans cross those boundaries.
So what happened?
They crossed the boundaries.
What were the consequences?
Well, the consequences were that we could no longer have a relationship with God. That's pretty intense.
But what does that have to do with... What does that have to do with us?
When we cross God's boundaries, it creates separation between us and God.
When have we crossed God's boundaries?
Well, when was the last time you lied?
Or the last time you had inappropriate or sexual thoughts?
Or the last time you cheated? On a test, maybe?
Or the last time you were jealous and really wanted what someone else had?
All those examples, and so many more, are crossing God's boundaries, and that causes separation.
So every time we cross God's boundaries, we're proving we're like Adam and Eve.
Wow. But God gave another promise, and what was it about?
What was it about?
It was about a savior. God promised to provide a way to restore the separation that we cause every day.
And who was the Savior?
It was Jesus.
Why do we need Jesus?
Because Jesus was the only one to not cross God's boundaries, keeping a perfect relationship with God.
What did Jesus do?
He died
Why did he have to die?
because we crossed God's boundaries.
Oh, okay, so if God is just, he has to follow through on his promise, even the consequences of it.
Yeah, and the promise for crossing God's boundaries was death.
If I deserve death, how does Jesus' death pay for mine?
Because he's alive.
What?
Yeah, he defeated death because he rose again.
So I don't have to die?
Yes, but only if you believe in Jesus Christ, that he came from heaven, that he was perfect. Jesus is life. You choose to believe in him in your heart, that he died, that he rose again, that he paid the price for crossing God's boundaries, then you will get into God's house. Not good works, but Jesus.
Asking him to change you from the inside out.